The other day I was thinking, when did buying a protein shake become as normal as buying a packet of Maggie? Think about it. 5 years ago, protein powder was a gym goer's thing. Bodybuilders, athletes, people who spend more money on gym memberships than, I don't know, movie tickets. The rest of the country didn't give protein intake that much bhav. But what about today? High protein dahi is sitting right next to regular dahi on Big Basket. Protein bars are at every airport kiosk, petrol pump, convenience store. अब तो आटा और कॉफी में भी प्रोटीन है. In fact, a report by Fortune India talks about how Amazon's protein and nutrition category is growing 35 to 40% year on year. Now, as retail investors, how do we tap into this theme? Is it hype or a genuine opportunity? Hi, this is Arunima and you're watching How Bizarre. Take a look at this graph. Something flipped as we can clearly see. This is the daily protein intake of every Indian divided by our total population. And in 2009-10, we can see that rural India was taking the lead. But between 2011 and 2022, something changed. Urban India overtook that figure, and then there was no turning back. What happened in between? Well, number one, easy access to cheap data. 2016 से पहले 1 GB data was around 150 rupees. For a month, people could just use 200 to 300 MB. YouTube consumption was mostly in homes with Wi-Fi access. Then Jio came in.
This morning, I start with the newest and the youngest member of the Reliance family, Jio.
And suddenly, even people in tier 3 cities had access to what once was only a thing for rich gym goers. Fitness videos, what I eat in a day, macro tracking, everything was suddenly accessible. Look at the impact even today. Insta trends started like 75-day hard challenge. Uske baad aaya 75-day soft challenge for the rest of us. But premise is the same. Protein, macros, recovery. All this was not even in our vocabulary. It was for the dole shole crowd. But now it's suddenly dinner table conversation. Fitness content इतना mainstream हो गया है कि अब लोगों को FOMO हो जाता है. This is actually one of the few Instagram trends that I'm happy about. Then a global pandemic.
A mysterious new virus.
Coronavirus.
This is a rapidly emerging situation.
COVID-19.
It's 2020. Everyone's home, scared, googling how to boost immunity. This created a generation of self-educated consumers who actually read nutritional labels on a product. That was genuinely a new behavior in India. Not only that, some new age brands actually got us to sit and take notice on what's written at the back of products. And finally, product innovation. Suddenly, you don't need a 5 kg tub of chalky protein powder from a gym supplement shop that smells questionable. Today, protein comes in oats, in dahi, in chips, in 30-gram bars, in whey packets, wafers, delivered to your door in 10 minutes. That shift from a specialty supplement to a mainstream daily habit is what turns a niche category into a multi-billion dollar market. Now let's understand the market landscape. Which are the key players in this space? And सबसे important, is it even real or just a giant marketing game? For this, I want you to picture a pyramid, but inverted. This pyramid has 3 floors. At the bottom of the pyramid, we have sports nutrition, whey protein powders, creatine, mass gainers. This is the domain where players like On, Health Cart, parent company of Muscle Blaze, True Basics, HK Vitals, and 5 other nutrition brands operate. They're unlisted for now, but these are names every investor in this space should be tracking. फिर आते हैं बीच वाला floor, the D2C wellness brands. This is the functional nutrition and wellness layer. Oziva, Plix, The Whole Truth, Cosmix, and Super You. These brands exploded post-pandemic and they built entirely on Instagram and online channels. And then we have the most important layer for pure scale. We have everyday protein formats. Epigamia ka Greek yogurt, fortified atta, Amul's high protein range. Now here's a channel shift that's supercharging all 3 layers. Quick commerce. Protein products have become an impulse category on these platforms. You're ordering groceries on Blinkit and you add one to the cart. And Gen Z is the demand engine across all of these 3 layers. They're willing to pay a premium for products and clean ingredients that are sourced transparently. That's basically what the data is saying as well. Now the main question, is this real or hype? Sure, protein is genuinely important, not just some fitness fad. Protein literally हर जगह काम आता है. In our muscles, skin, hormones, immunity, enzymes, and it's been proven that the deficiency is real. In fact, a study by ICMR talks about how for most Indians, our diet is skewed towards carbs and not proteins and healthy fats. But to boost D2C sales, food delivery and quick commerce apps have been consistently using high protein ka tag. Think about it, it's like AI for startups. यही है protein washing. भाई जो पहले फैट फ्री के साथ हुआ, शुगर फ्री के साथ हुआ, एंड नाउ इट्स हैपनिंग विद हाई प्रोटीन. ब्रांड्स नो दैट पीपल विल बी विलिंग टू पे द प्रीमियम फॉर द प्रोटीन लेबल. सप्लीमेंट इंडस्ट्री में एक और स्कैम है, अडल्टरेशन. एक्चुअल मसल बिल्डिंग प्रोटीन कम हो लेकिन नंबर बड़ा लगता है. सो अ सिंपल रूल फॉर ऑल कंज्यूमर्स, check the label. How many grams of protein is it giving? What is the protein to carb or calorie intake? Is it a high quality protein source? Real protein value add करता है, fake protein सिर्फ जेब को खाली करता है. Now think of India's largest consumer companies. They have billion-dollar distribution networks. They've been around for decades, and so they have super high brand equity as well. And despite having armies of salespeople, all of them came to the same conclusion. They can't build credibility in health and nutrition fast enough that it matters. The D2C brands have already gotten there first. They have earned the trust of exactly the consumers who will define the next decade of growth. So what do? Boardrooms aren't asking how do we build this kind of questions anymore. They're asking how do we buy trust. All roads pointed to acquisitions. Let's talk about 3 deals by listed companies that basically show how this playbook works. Deal number 1, Marico and Cosmix. Parachute and Saffola, these are 2 products you'll probably find in most Indian homes. Their parent company is Marico. Now, Marico is aggressively buying out companies, that too in the health and nutrition, beauty and personal care brand space. This is a deliberate, systematic portfolio build out. Now, let's focus on the nutrition part. In 2023, Marico bought almost 60% stake of Plix, a plant-based protein company, for nearly 370 crore rupees. From there, the company grew 10 times and became profitable. The same story with True Elements. Marico acquired True Elements for a total value of 138 crore rupees. They started off with roughly 54% stake in 2022. Then the final acquisition was completed in October 2025. Now the same playbook again with Cosmix.
Well, the 60% stake in Cosmix values the company at about 375 crore rupees. Now, Cosmix is a digital-first functional wellness brand that makes plant-based protein powders, functional superfood blends, and more. And the brand has scaled to an ARR of about 100 crore rupees with a high-teen EBITDA margin profile.
If you look at these numbers independently, it's modest compared to the total scale at which Marico operates. Yes, but that is precisely the wrong lens. The investment case is the portfolio, not individual brands. Plix, Cosmix and True Elements collectively earned over 1,000 crore rupees of annualized revenue at the end of Q2 FY26. So Marico is not just a legacy personal care brand anymore. It's now becoming a consumer health conglomerate, one acquisition at a time. Deal 2, HUL and Oziva. The HUL Oziva story is another solid example. It shows how large cap acquisitions take place, and looking at just the first 2 years paints a very different picture. You've probably seen HUL products lying around at home. Surf Excel, Dove, Brook Bond, Knorr, Lux. So you can clearly see that this is not just a company but an FMCG empire. And in 2022, the empire caught the fields. Not those fields. FOMO हुआ उनको. That is when HUL bought 51% stake in Oziva, a plant-based protein D2C brand. First 2 years, nothing. Revenues were almost flat and losses were up to 44 crore rupees. बाहर से देखने वाले लोगों को लगा HUL has clearly done something wrong. But suddenly, FY25, revenue grew almost 2.5 times, losses nearly vanished. HUL didn't waste any time. It bought the balance 49% as well at a valuation of 824 crore rupees. Transactions of this scale show one thing: conviction in the brand. Deal number 3 is ITC and Yoga Bar. While Marico and HUL have attracted most of the acquisition commentary, ITC has been executing the same strategy. It has the leverage of good distribution as well. In fact, their products reach 60 lakh retail outlets. Every small kirana store, railway station, highway dhaba. Then there's Yoga Bar. 2 sisters from Bengaluru had launched their line of protein bars and nutrition products. They built a solid product and a fiercely loyal urban consumer base. and well, the rest is history.
ITC acquired Yoga Bar in 2023, and it has also been increasingly highlighting the protein content across its various product portfolio, especially in staples, including in atta.
Combined with Madhusparsh and 24 Mantra Organic, ITC's new age portfolio is tracking a 1,000 crore annualized run rate. But the list doesn't end there. Sure, Marico, ITC, HUL dominate the headlines, but across the listed and unlisted landscape, a broader consolidation is happening. There are 3 more names that need to be studied for any serious analysis of this market. First up, we have Parag Milk Foods. The market continues to price Parag Milk Foods as a dairy products business. But here's what actually matters, and this is the part that doesn't make the headlines. Every D2C protein brand in India has the same vulnerability. They buy whey from global suppliers, global whey prices are volatile, the quality is inconsistent, and then let's say FSSAI tightens scrutiny on what's being imported, which it by the way periodically does. Well, their margins fall because of a supply chain they don't even control. But in Parag's case, it controls everything. Farm to shelf. Milk to whey protein. There are no middlemen, there's no import dependency, no currency risk as a result of that. Their whey protein brand Avtar is part of a new age business segment, and that crossed a profit of 100 crore rupees in a single quarter in Q3 FY26. In a market full of brands selling protein, Parag is one of the few ones that actually makes it. That's not a feature, that's a moat. Now let's talk about the whole truth. उनका सीन ये है, they did about 216 crore rupees in revenue in FY25. That is almost a 3.3 times jump from the year before. And now in their latest funding round, they've raised about $34 million. But what actually makes them interesting isn't the revenue number, it's the reason behind it. Every single time a new mislabeling scandal breaks out, the whole truth gets stronger without spending a single rupee. That's how good their brand love is. They're not in the stock market yet, but whether they go public or get picked up by one of the big FMCG companies, that moment will be a very loud signal what a genuinely trusted nutrition brand is worth in India right now. And now, the one brand that's a moment marketing champion. Amul is already selling high protein dahi and high protein lassi. And that right here is what makes them the most dangerous player in this entire market. Because Amul didn't need to build trust. It's already there in every single Indian kitchen since 1946. Now imagine if Amul stops treating protein as just another product line and decides to go all in with a dedicated campaign, especially because marketing is one of their biggest flexes. That would change the conversation completely. Okay, so we've talked about the opportunity, the brands and the acquisitions, but here's the part many people would miss. The risks. And I'm going to tell you 2 of the most important ones. Risk 1. Are we overdoing this whole protein fandom? Yes, we've heard the stat, India is protein deficient. But have you ever thought about the demographics? Right now, the typical consumer of premium protein supplements are urban millennials with gym memberships and a lot of disposable income. But now there's a section of the population that's overdoing it to the point that doctors are now flagging the opposite problem. Too much protein in a country with very high rates of undiagnosed kidney issues is becoming a primary health concern. Risk 2. Incoming of Ozempic. You've probably heard of Ozempic, the weight loss injection that took over the internet, Bollywood and your Instagram feed all at once. The active ingredient in Ozempic is called semaglutide, and as of March 2026, its patent has expired in India. What that means is Indian pharma companies are making their own versions of it. Generic semaglutide is now available in India starting at 1,290 rupees per month, whereas the branded versions were way more expensive. So this drug has become more accessible to a completely new income group. So at this point you might be thinking, okay, so if people are taking a drug that kills their appetite and helps them lose weight, do we still need protein supplements anymore? And yes, that is a fair question and I get why you're thinking that. But here's where it gets really interesting. You're losing weight, yes, but a big chunk of that you're losing isn't fat, it's actually muscle. And that's a problem because muscle is what keeps your metabolism running, it keeps your bones strong and your body functional as you age. So what do doctors recommend? More protein. Think about what that means. Someone on Ozempic is eating significantly less food overall, but they still need more protein out of whatever little they do eat. And what's the most convenient way to solve it? A high quality protein bar or a clean protein shake. So here's a nuance that most people are missing. Ozempic will affect the market. It may not kill it, but it will definitely reshape it. The brands that figure this out early and adapt quickly will be fine. By the way, I did a detailed video on Ozempic and how it's leading to profits increasing for airline companies. If you're curious about it, check it out. Okay, now let's sum everything up. We started with a question. protein market, hype, or does this theme have substance? Here is my honest answer. It's a little bit of hype but built on a very real, very solid foundation of substance. Basically, if you're buying an FMCG stock just because it acquired some fancy health brand, pause. Ask yourself one simple question first. Is that brand actually big enough to matter to the parent company's overall business? In the long term, if the acquisition doesn't move the needle on the company's actual earnings, you're not investing in a growth story. You're just paying a premium for a good press release. So the opportunity is real, but the risks are real too. So here is what you need to do as someone watching the market. The big picture and the single most important line in this entire video is India's large caps are no longer building nutrition brands from scratch. They're buying consumer trust. Every small, profitable, well-positioned D2C brand in health and nutrition is now a potential acquisition target. The brands with the deepest consumer loyalty will win, not the ones with the most products. So, comment below your take. Is the protein market hyped or it has substance? Well, this is Arunima Rao signing off. If you found this video helpful, then please do share and subscribe. And also don't miss the next one. Until then, stay curious.